Front Mission 3 is one of my favorite childhood games. When I saw remakes popping out for the first two games which I haven't played, I was hoping that the third one would get remade too. Due to the original coming out in 1999, I was a bit afraid that something thought as great back in the day would now be much worse. After all, I've played many games since 1999. Started reviewing them and doing guides, which made me look at games a bit differently, less emotional and more analytical. Looking under the hood of older games can sometimes ruin nostalgic memories. Consider this video an early review with things said being subject to change. Played the game so far about 12 hours, so I need to finish it for the full review that is going to be on my Patreon and Subscribestar once the game has been beaten and if I don't get keys for new games that are coming out soon. If I do, I'm gonna have to abandon the playthrough. First, let's talk about the remake itself. It's more of a remaster than a remake in my opinion. There are some quality of life changes and overall improvements, but also bugs, new and old, that still need to be fixed. There's a couple basic things missing, like for example the ability to quit the game on PC during every intermission, and a restart mission option instead of loading previous saves. I also need to say that people are suspecting AI has been used for outside gameplay art assets, I guess for upscaling purposes. I'm not good at recognizing that stuff, so can't comment on it. Just wanted to put the information out there since the use of AI is a big thing these days. Also read that people are quite unhappy with the visuals of this remake. I can see why. Though I think Wanzers look alright, it seems like they lost a bit of soul. There's also a lack of aesthetic customization options to make them more unique and distinct. My biggest gripe with this supposed remake is that maps still look like crap. So much could have been done to make it epic with environmental destruction on a grand scale. Whole maps should have been remade with lots more details. Redoing maps from scratch with different scales, many more details and more detailed destruction would have made this a proper remake. As things stand, to me this is more of a remaster than anything else. Alright, now let's talk about the game itself. How is it? Does it stand the test of time? By the way, has anyone else come to the conclusion that if we remove letter Z and put in K instead, we get wankers instead of wanzers? For me that makes it more fun, 4 wankers fighting more wankers. Okay, enough dumb shit. Front Mission 3 story revolves around Kazuki and his mate Ryogo. Two young, inexperienced wanker pilots put in a nasty situation while Kazuki was searching for his sister after the big explosive incident at the base where she was working. I'll try not to spoil much here. Situation gets more complicated fast. They get caught in the middle of a secret project involving a catastrophic weapon and become wanted criminals on the run. Then the situation gets really complicated as entire countries, corporations and organizations get mixed in the whole incident. Story is quite good in the first 12 hours with new shifts and interactions with other organizations and countries occurring in the attempt to find out more about the incident and the sister. We find out more about the characters as well. Backstories are so-so. Seems a bit too convenient for some characters like Emma's, for example. We'll see how story plays out in its entirety, cause it can go both ways, same as the backstories. Interesting feature Front Mission 3 has is the online section where players can check various websites, learning more about each government, corporation and organization. This is where we get more info about the ongoing wars in the East. We are going to be involved in some of these wars, so to have that type of feature which adds lore in such a way is quite nice. Gives more meaning to everything we do. Just don't expect Dark Souls lore or anything similar, it's quite basic, but does the job. Dialogue is so-so, some filler stuff, couple jokes here and there, different personalities clashing, it's mostly classic JRPG style. Though what is interesting and in my opinion quite good is the dynamic between Kazuki and Ryogo. I forgot how these immature fools can act at times, mostly towards each other. Kazuki is brash, aggressive and focused on the goal at hand, while Ryogo is nonchalant, always willing to throw a joke or two. So often they clash with each other, which brings quite a positive dynamic to otherwise mediocre or average dialogue quality. In terms of writing and story, I was surprised positively that the story is still good, at least in the first 12 hours. I expected the dialogue to not be good, but was pleasantly surprised about Kazuki and Ryogo's dynamic, which adds a lot. Overall, it's solid in the writing department, nothing great, but solid enough. Pacing is alright as story sections don't take too long before the next mission. Now we get to gameplay. It's a turn-based game based around RNG. Equip Wonzer with a weapon and attack the enemy. That's pretty much it. RNG is tied to hit chance, which can be improved with Wonzer upgrades, skills triggering, and where the shot is going to hit. Hitting enemies at random parts is one of the better, more sensible ways of utilizing RNG in games. Makes the combat unpredictable. Shoot off an arm with a weapon and the enemy can't attack anymore. Destroy the legs and there's no movement aside from 1 square per turn, which is really low. Not a fan of skills triggering on random though. I think combat would be better off if skills were tied to action points. Basically each skill costs a certain amount of action points. That would add a controllable layer of depth. There are also 3 status effects that also occur randomly: stun, forced discharge and confusion. Stun is self-explanatory. Forced discharge ejects the pilot, leaving Wonzer unattended with pilot exposed outside of it. And confusion increases action point usage. These status effects can make things even more unpredictable. One thing I think hasn't been done well is how the humans outside of Wonzers work. They are incredibly tough to hit with single hit weapons. Gets really annoying dealing with humans, especially if you haven't brought a shotgun and machine gun to the mission. What I remembered from the original game is the hit and kill satisfaction. It's still nicely done. Nothing extraordinary, but improves the feel of combat. While I would like to see more detailed and varied death animations, hit satisfaction is nice, especially shooting off arms. Economy is quite interesting. Basically you can grind the simulator, which gets boring quickly, to get a bit of money to upgrade Wonzers, just enough to be able to continue slightly stronger. Big money though is gained by capturing Wonzers, which is a brilliant design. We can disassemble Wonzers for parts that are then used in modifying existing Wonzers or sell them. Economy is tight, which I really like, as it also adds a layer of difficulty. More successful you are at capturing Wonzers, which isn't easy, the easier it gets to keep up with the enemy in future missions due to more money gained by selling them. Grinding everything on the simulator would quickly lead to hating the game, so if you plan on playing this game, don't do it. Difficulty progression is nicely done, as it's going to keep you entertained, so grinding the simulator is not really necessary at all. Though I remember the game being much more difficult when I was a kid, but of course after playing so many games and knowing games better, it's easier to build something that makes the game easy. At the point where I am in the game, difficulty started to go up significantly, so I can't wait to see if the game can truly challenge me. Last thing to talk about is the wanker build progression. Even though menu UI sucks, building unique wankers from parts of other wankers can lead to interesting combinations. There are factors at play that limit what can be done. It's tied to the power and weight system. More power the Wonzer has, the more weapons of different types it can equip. Thing is, there's quite a few Wonzer models that have different benefits. Some have more health, some have more power, others have different weight, each part has different skills that can be learned and activated, computers have limited slots where these skills can be assigned to. It's a mix and match system that is deep enough, but not that complex. In my opinion, it's a good system for casuals and for people looking to create something more extravagant. Summary for this Front Mission 3 remake. As remake goes, it's more of a remaster than a remake from what I can see. Not great, not terrible. Could have been a lot better. The game itself does stand the test of time to a degree. Story is still decent and the gameplay has that addictive RNG property to it in a good way, even though I would change skills to activate manually and not randomly. Economy is really good as it's highly rewarding to capture and sell a Wanzer. Wanzer build system is good as it doesn't go too much into complexity even though it has depth to play with. It also allows for casual simple builds to work great. So in this early review I am not unhappy playing Front Mission 3 again. It's not as great as I thought it was as a kid, but it's still a decent to good game. Anyway, thanks for watching.